Mr. Speaker, when the government agreed to compensate coal-fired electricity producers, these companies assumed the government would act in good faith. Well, 1 year into this agreement, there are already issues. Capital Power is suing Alberta Energy, alleging the government failed to act in good faith, shorting the company $2.7 million in just the first year of this 14-year agreement. To the Minister of Energy, 1 year into this deal, and we already have a lawsuit. Will this be a recurring theme of Alberta Energy being sued for failing to live up to contractual obligations?
The Honourable Minister, Environment and Parks.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And of course, the agreements our government negotiated are fair. They will help companies continue to power our electricity grid, to transition to natural gas where appropriate, and ensure that power companies keep their headquarters here in Alberta and protect worker benefits, Mr. Speaker. They were negotiated with the support of an internationally respected expert with decades of experience, and this particular case is before the courts, so it's inappropriate to comment any further, but we are confident in our legal position.
Yes. For supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that litigation is almost always a last resort, I would assume, taken only when parties refuse to negotiate or bargain in good faith, and given that on April 9th a dispute resolution meeting between Alberta Energy and Capital Power was arranged to avoid costly court proceedings. However, at this meeting, a deal could not be reached because the province did not send someone with the authority to resolve the dispute. To the Minister of Energy, why did you force Capital Power to pursue litigation by refusing to send someone with a level of authority to negotiate a settlement in good faith?
Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the honourable member is inquiring after a specific case, and so it would be inappropriate to comment on this particular case and what led to it, Mr. Speaker. We are confident in our legal position, and we are also confident that the communities that are affected by the coal-fired transition, whether it's the 12 that were phased out under Prime Minister Stephen Harper at the time, or the remaining 8 12 years from now, Mr. Speaker, we're making sure that the worker benefits are in place, that there's a transition fund for workers, Mr. Speaker, and the communities will be protected.
Second supplementary.
Great way to do business, Mr. Speaker. Given that yesterday ATCO indicated they are considering litigation against this government as a result of the coal compensation agreement, and given that if litigation is instigated by ATCO, that would mean 3 out of 4 companies compensated through the coal phase-out will have had to sue the government in order to receive the compensation they are owed. Again, to the minister, these companies want to be adequately compensated based on contracts signed in good faith. Why are you forcing them into the courts and proving yet again that this government cannot be trusted?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And while I will not provide comment on a particular case before the courts or a hypothetical case before the courts, Mr. Speaker, what we do know with respect to this government's approach to the coal-fired transition is we ensured that the federal government had the regulations in place to ensure coal-to-gas conversion, something that the previous federal government utterly failed to do, and in fact the previous Conservative government here in Alberta as well. We made sure that we had transition funds in place, Mr. Speaker, some $40 million, to ensure that families have the supports they need to phase out coal, and it was certainly not supports that were in place under Prime Minister Stephen Harper's phase out of coal.
Thank you.